candidates claim victory, but who will claim the White House as the vote count continues?
It's clear that we're winning enough states to reach 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
We have a live report from Washington as a recount and a legal challenge emerge.
Election anxiety. If you were feeling it yesterday, chances are it's worse today.
I think we have weeks of court battles in front of us.
We check in with Ohio voters to see how they're coping.
And why were the polls so wrong again? We break down the difference between the big predictions and where we are today.
And more than 4,000 new COVID cases for a second day in a row. But there's a surprise silver lining giving us some hope in this pandemic.
And going fast, the Aldi Advent calendars you can snag if you're lucky. What's new starts now.
This is a special edition of What's New, Decision 2020, live from WKYC Studios with Betsy Kling and Jay Crawford.
And breaking news as we come on the air at 5 o'clock. Within the past hour, NBC News has called the presidential race in the state of Michigan. They have put that in former Vice President Joe Biden's column that ups Biden's electoral college lead to 253 to the president's 214. Remember, the pathway to the White House, 270 electoral votes are needed to win the presidency. And with that, we say hello again, Northeast Ohio, and thanks so much for choosing What's New on this picture-perfect fall day. With Betsy Kling, I'm Jay Crawford. Betsy, last night's election coverage has, as we've seen, spilled into today, and we still don't have a declared winner.
Everybody's just kind of, here we go. Another couple hours of this as we go through the evening. And I got to tell you, even with projections coming in and calls, there's still so much uncertainty. And it's looking more and more likely we won't have a full tally of all the votes for days. In fact, NBC News is reporting that North Carolina elections officials said they won't release numbers until next week. Now, this is a source of a lot of anxiety for Ohio voters on both sides of the aisle. Romney Smith talked to some of them today.
We asked how you woke up feeling and saw responses of aggravated, sick to my stomach, feeling like crap, and great. The close numbers are causing anxiety.
It appears that the country is 50-50. Where does it go? It's still divided.
While some voters were mostly concerned with health care during a pandemic.
So for me, the policy stakes were extremely high. The repeal of the Affordable Care Act, what happens with health care, they're high stakes for millions and millions of people, including here in Ohio.
A conservative voter was worried that a Biden presidency will lead to a Kamala Harris presidency.
She's extremely liberal. As I shared, I look through conservative eyes. There's very little I think that I agree with her. And it's a road that I certainly wouldn't want the country to walk down.
Others feel hopeless that the nation seems to be in a deadlock.
How do you convince someone of right and wrong? Where did they learn right and wrong? Where did they lose a sense of empathy, of sympathy?
I really wonder, can it be any more divided on some philosophies or policy right now?
Now, I didn't just speak with voters on both sides of the aisle. I also spoke with a mental health professional today about how you can handle the current anxiety besides logging off social media. I'll have more on that coming up at 5:30. Betsy?
Well, it's hard to find the words.
I know.
I mean, you kind of go one way, but you got to come back to another. I mean, at what point do you even know what words to say?
Well, you know, it's almost like a group project in school. Those of us who voted feel like we did our part, and now we're just waiting on our hundreds of millions, potentially, of other people to see if they did their part. And I think earlier today, when we put out the call on social media asking people if they wanted to participate in the story, it was interesting. I actually had plenty of people who said in private messages, I want to help you, but I don't want to get my name out there, or I don't want my face to be on camera, just in case my candidate loses. They didn't want to feel foolish.
I'll tell you what it is. We are in politics purgatory right now.
Yes.
All the voters, all the politicians, we're all in and waiting. So hopefully we'll get some clarification pretty soon. Thanks, Romney.
All right, now on your feet at 5, one of the major subplots of this 2020 presidential election is just how wrong the vast majority of polls were again. They've been telling us for months that Biden would win easily. And though we still don't know who the winner will be, we do know that the margin of victory will be razor thin. Tiffany Tarpley tonight went to the experts for answers. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Jay. You know, as you mentioned, the polls off this time around, and in some ways inaccurate 4 years ago, too. So public opinion is something that we watch pretty closely, right? Especially when we're getting up to these elections. I spoke with a political science professor and a law professor to get their takes on this issue. Ohio Northern University's Dr. Robert Alexander says the polls definitely underestimated Donald Trump's power, particularly with rural voters. Case Western Reserve University law professor Dr. Jonathan Enton believes they were worse this year than 4 years ago. But here's the key. Both experts say people should not put so much weight on these polls. They're just a snapshot in time.
They are simply where people are at and what they say that they're going to do. What they actually do. Every single public opinion poll has a margin of error. And that's something that a lot of people do not pay attention to.
I don't think that it's so much that the pollsters are incompetent. I think it's more that the public has gotten a lot harder to understand.
And so Professor Enton believes there isn't one single explanation as to what happened this time around. For example, it could be an issue with who was surveyed, right? Who was surveyed, how many in a certain voting block, things like that. Professor Alexander says it is also difficult to do modeling in a high turnout election, Jay. And of course, again, this all happened during a pandemic.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, everyone knew this was going to be a high turnout. The one that really stands out to me, Tiffany, was a day before the election, there was another network, not NBC, and a name brand newspaper put out a poll in Wisconsin that showed Biden was leading by 17 points. And the final vote count is within 1 percentage point. I know there's margin of error, but when you're that wildly wrong, perhaps it's more on the public to start looking to those polls for more, or for less rather, information. Tiffany, thanks. We appreciate it.
Well, a record number, 5.8 million ballots were cast here in the state of Ohio, and the majority of the state's count concluded early this morning. While the results aren't yet official, it is something that Ohio's Secretary of State and elections officials are celebrating. But in some key battleground states, votes are still being tallied, and they are far from finished. Mark Namick explains why Ohio's results were tallied so quickly and what experts say needs to change elsewhere to keep the nation from waiting.
Buckeye State voters have closure. Voters in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin don't. Unlike Ohio, election rules don't allow officials to process millions of mail-in ballots before Election Day. Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose doesn't favor federal standards, but says these battleground states should adopt the rules in place here because they've proved to work.
This was no surprise to any of them. I mean, candidly, and Kathy Boockvar, the Pennsylvania Secretary of State, have been saying all year, like really since the spring, we need to get permission to start processing absentee ballots early, or it's going to be the weekend after before we have results. And their state legislature just wasn't willing to budge on that. And so, here we are. We've got these 50 little laboratories of democracy, right? And when one state does something and proves that it's successful, then other states follow it.
Ohio hasn't been without its controversies. LaRose went to court to block efforts to add more drop boxes and in-person voting locations, arguing that the lawmakers should make that decision, not elections boards. LaRose told me today he plans to campaign for both those things among state lawmakers. Reporting from Cleveland, Mark Namick, 3 News.
Well, more numbers for you now, but it's the other big story of the day, Ohio's coronavirus numbers. Today, Ohio reported 4,071 new cases. That's well above the 21-day average of 2,693.
And Betsy, even though that number is a dip from yesterday's, our other data points continue to paint a very bleak picture here. Daily positivity rate, 8.9%. 1 month ago, it was 3%. Hospitalizations up 21 today to nearly 2,000. We had fewer than 1,000 patients in Ohio hospitals a month ago, and the fear of a rising death count seems to be materializing. We've always told you that the death rise number usually is 3 weeks behind the rise in cases. 54 more deaths recorded in today's report. That's 125 over the last 3 days. That's more than we had the previous 10 days combined. It is also, and this is alarming, our highest 3-day death total since way back in early May. Ahead at 5:15, senior health correspondent Monica Robbins joins us with how the pandemic is inspiring people to do something about these numbers. And as we turn to Russ Mitchell for more headlines just in, Russ, you were pressing Governor Mike DeWine yesterday, asking if he had any further restrictions in mind for Ohio. Well, just into the 3 newsroom, he's now issued a travel advisory to all Ohioans for 7 states. They are South Dakota, Iowa, Kansas, Idaho, Wyoming, Alabama, and Montana. He is strongly recommending Ohioans do not travel to the mentioned states, which, Russ, all have a positivity rate over 15%. Yeah. We're alarmed at ours, which is just under 9. They currently stand at 15%, so it could be much worse.
As you pointed out yesterday, he did say he would be making some announcements later this week. We know he's speaking to the press tomorrow, so perhaps more orders coming as well. Interesting.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to you, by the way.
And to you as well.
Here is what is happening. Cleveland School CEO Eric Gordon is thanking voters for passing its levy despite well-funded anonymous opposition. Issue 68 was both a renewal and an increase for Cleveland voters. CEO Gordon says the money will help the district build on its increasing graduation rate and test scores and get digital devices and internet access to more of its students. Euclid City Schools levy passed at 53%. It was voted down back in 2018, but will now bring in more than $5 million a year. In Lorain County, Issue 17, a renewal for Lorain City Schools, passed at 62%. It will raise $10 million a year for operating expenses. Issue 73 for Parma City Schools failed. Had it passed, the district hoped to build 2 new campuses. And a levy for Chagrin Falls exempted schools passed at 69%. And the Cuyahoga County Library tax overwhelmingly passed, with 60% of voters saying yes. This will raise $18 million for services including building maintenance and to keep programs afloat. So some happy folks out there in the school front, the library front, and some who are not. So maybe next time.
Well, I do know this. Better schools, Russ, is never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing, of course.
Russ, thanks very much. We'll see you again, top of the hour. What matters most at 6 o'clock.
See you later.
Coming up next on What's New, a silver lining amid this coronavirus pandemic. The way it's inspiring a growing number of Ohioans to action.
And did you know Meghan Markle made history during the election yesterday? I bet you didn't, but I'll tell you why.
Also, Matt, thank you for this beautiful day. Now, may I please have another?
Yeah, sure, Jay. We're just going to add a little clouds to the ingredients tomorrow, but then we're back to this once again. Guys, this is going to be a historic stretch. I've got the numbers for you on 70-degree days in November coming up.
Hello, 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 hello.
Yeah, I got you. Just calming my chaotic 2-year-old.
Welcome back to What's New. We told you earlier about Ohio's rising coronavirus numbers, which included a spike in new deaths of 55 today, Betsy.
And in the coming days, we've been waiting to hear if Governor DeWine is going to consider further actions to slow the spread of COVID-19 here in the state. We know for a fact that just today, new travel restrictions have been put out to 7 states across the country for Ohioans to note. So we'll have more on that coming up. But senior health correspondent Monica Robbins is joining us now with that. And Monica, you say there's a little silver lining to all of this.
Yeah, believe it or not, I'll get to that in a second. You know, I think we're going to see this increase continue throughout the month and into the holiday season for a number of reasons. The intimate gatherings seem to be fueling the spread despite the warnings, and many people are still getting together without precautions. We need to knock that off, folks. Tomorrow or Friday, the governor says he plans to announce an action plan. As you said, today he came out with a 7-state restriction. We'll have to see whether or not those if he gets any further restrictions like other states are doing, because those states where the restrictions were put in, or the travel advisory rather, their positivity rate's 15%. So there are a number of other states that are dealing with this far worse than we are. But COVID is spreading interest in another way. Here's the silver lining I was telling you about. Believe it or not, more and more people are getting into healthcare.
Mary Grace Kelly is working on her patients.
I'm currently just waiting for interview invitations.
She's applied to 15 medical schools, hoping to become an orthopedist like those who helped her during her hockey years.
Learning about what they do and how they help people, it just immediately sparked my interest.
And cemented by what she's seeing with the pandemic.
I think it's awesome that first responders are sort of in the spotlight now.
Students have really seen what healthcare workers are doing on the front lines and said, you know what, maybe this is what I want to do.
According to the Association of American Medical Colleges, med school applications are up 17% nationwide. Locally, since 2018, Neomed has seen a 21.5% increase. Case Western Reserve University's Medical College is up 22%. And in the last year, Cleveland Clinic's Lerner College of Medicine up 11%. Many believe people may be inspired by the intellectual challenge of COVID-19 and the increased focus on racial inequality, especially in healthcare.
I think it's, you know what, it's up to me, it's up to my generation to step in and do something.
I just love reaching out and helping people, so yeah, it's definitely right up my alley.
So that is just incredible to see, and happy to see it happening here as well. Now, coming up at 6, I'm going to take a deeper dive into those COVID numbers and bring you what's happening on the vaccine front as well. And you make sure to get out and enjoy this weather. And all we got to do, Bets, is keep following those 3 guidelines that you know by heart. And I'm not going to repeat 3 times because everybody should know them by now.
I'll do it for you. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. And if we're throwing in number 4, of course, that would also be to get your flu shot. Don't forget that one. And as long as we're saying numbers, Monica, by the way, those 7 states, South Dakota, Iowa, Kansas, Idaho, Wyoming, Alabama, and Montana. Those are the restricted states now.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for your report, girlfriend. We are going to change directions now to that, which Monica just reminded us of, the beautiful weather. Even though the sun has set upon Northeast Ohio, right now is sunset time. It does look like this great stretch of weather is going to continue for us.
Yeah, Betsy, this is just fantastic. I've actually got sunset times over the next 4 weeks coming up. Just to let everyone know, we've actually got, we're losing a little bit less daylight every single day. But boy, 70-degree warmth, I'll tell you. We'll talk about that. So here's a look at the Csu Cam right now. Jay, I know you've got a word of the day coming. Just want to prelude that we're looking not at the tropics. This is Cleveland, Ohio.
You fooled me there because for a second I thought that was a shot of downtown Miami. But your word for the day, Matt, is hopeful, as in I am so very hopeful that this gorgeous weather continues for another 3 months. Hopeful.
Well, fantastic, Jay. I hate to burst your bubble, but you can. Yeah,
I'm hopeful, baby.
You can check out Betsy's forecast. You can check out Betsy's forecast coming up at 6. I'm sure she'll just fill you in on the next 3 months. But let's talk about it. Guys, Cleveland today, we hit at Hopkins 70 degrees officially today. And, we just had some 70s a couple weeks ago, so it seems like it's really not that rare. But I was going back. November 70s are very rare around here. In fact, the last 70-degree plus temperature that we had in November was almost 4 years ago, November 18th, 2016. And we're going to string together some 70s here in the forecast. So I'm going to do a little digging on that to see when the last November is we had 4 or 5 days in a row. And you'll see here in the forecast, we may do that. But temperatures right now still very balmy. We're in the 60s. Our average high this time of year in the mid-50s, depending on where you are across the viewing area. But you can see the warmth. It's not just us. It's pretty much the entire eastern half of the country right now under this huge ridge of high pressure. In the big picture, all the weather players up in Canada right now, we do have a little area of clouds that we're watching down towards Missouri. This is our weather forecast tomorrow. We're going to be a little cloudier around here. Most of these are high-level clouds, so they should just filter the sunshine, but you can see the clouds increasing as we go hour by hour through that forecast tonight. Temperatures last night, we got down into the upper 40s. I think tonight we're going to be near 50 degrees, and it's going to be a little bit breezy as well. You can see that wind icon in the upper right corner of your screen here as we look at your National Design Mart hour-by-hour forecast. We're keeping the breezy conditions around tonight. That's courtesy of a low pressure up in Canada and a high pressure down to our south and the east. We're right in between, so that squeeze play is on. You can see some of those high clouds working in tonight. Tomorrow, boy, we're going to be locked into some of these high clouds, but temperatures, I think, will impress once again. Should make it well into the 60s, and we're hopeful that we will get that sunshine back into the forecast by Friday, and I really think we will. Clear skies, and I think Friday is going to be a carbon copy of what we had today. So how long does this last? Your Universal Windows Direct 7-day forecast. There's the cloudiness tomorrow. We've got sunshine returning on Friday. I'm sorry, I just can't help but smile with this forecast. Does it get any better for the weekend, folks? Sunny skies, 70s, just gorgeous. And then next week, we finally flip the script and go back to reality. But man, get outside, enjoy this. This is just very rare territory around here.
Oh, it's so great, though, certainly. So a great weekend for us coming up. Thanks, Matt. We'll check in with you again coming up in just a little bit. Up next for us here on What's New, rapper, entertainer, pop culture icon, and self-proclaimed presidential candidate Kanye West is responding to his Election Day results.
I don't think he got the numbers he was looking for, actually. No. And we take a break from the talk of red and blue for something black and white and absolutely adorable. Look at that. It's a Panda Cub, and he's making history. That story straight ahead.
Hey, yes I do. It is Wednesday, November 4th, and the odds are in favor for betting odds for Joe Biden to win the presidency. Okay, cool.
Welcome back to What's New. What do Kanye West, Meghan Markle, and Shawn Mendes all have in common? Give up? They all make an appearance in today's Pop Break. Here's Kiara Cotton.
Apparently, Kanye West is keeping the same energy. After voting for the first time and conceding his long-shot presidential bid, West is looking ahead to 2024. In a tweet, Kanye posted a picture of himself in front of an electoral map with the caption, Kanye 2024, suggesting that he may run again. While we don't even know who the winner of this election is, I guess you can't tell him nothing, right? While thousands of Americans had their voices heard on Election Day, a princess also took part in the action. Duchess of Sussex Meghan Markle became the first modern royal family member to vote in the United States presidential election. Back in August, the 39-year-old, in an interview with Marie Claire, explained why it was important for her to vote, saying, I know what it's like to have a voice and also what it's like to feel voiceless, she told the outlet. In a much-needed break from politics, Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello are showing off their new addition, Meet Tarzan. In a post on Instagram, Mendes shared pictures and videos of their cuddly pup. In one of the videos, Camila is seen in the backseat of a car with their adorable little guy. Tarzan is the latest addition to the famous duo's growing pack. While we're still in the thick of election season, make sure you're still finding time to decompress. For me, it's looking at puppy videos. So that last story definitely hit the mark. Back to you guys.
All right, we now interrupt politics and worrying for a little video that's worth the watch because it's going to put a smile on your face. Look at this little baby panda.
Need to hold that.
Who doesn't love baby pandas? This panda cub just made her debut at a zoo in South Korea. And get this, the cub is the first panda born in that country. It's unbelievable. The zoo named her Fu Bao, meaning lucky treasure baby. Oh, she's so cute. Don't you just want to like...
Yeah, you just want to hold it. You really do, because it looks like a teddy bear, but probably not recommended after they get a little bit bigger.
Still
they
a
can
wild
do
animal.
some damage.
Yeah, still wild. Just don't disguise yourself as bamboo, because you never know.
No, definitely
Little
not.
nibble, nibble. All right, coming up for us new at 5:30, the race after the election. How campaign moves today could affect where the vote count goes tomorrow and beyond in other states.
And you mentioned taking a break from politics. I think we could do more of that, and we're going to do more of that coming up. We're going to talk about another tradition this time of year. It's about a certain Advent calendar and how you better act fast if you hope to get one. That has your attention, doesn't it, Betsy?
Yeah, obviously. And we're also continuing our Your New Job series, the good paying jobs you can get, and there's no experience needed.
What?
We'll be right back.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Hey, yeah, I've gotcha. Oh. Yes, 1, 2, 3, Jay and... Hang on, get this adjusted. Jay and Betsy, we are all waiting for the final results to come in.
Out now, mic check. One. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Laura Queso's mic.
Yes, sir. Mic check, and it's Romney. It is Wednesday, it is Friday. It is the day I drink wine. Okay.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
And welcome back to What's New. Breaking as we come back at 5:30. President Trump tweeting in the last half hour claiming electoral victories in Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, and Michigan. That last one, NBC News and the Associated Press have just recently called for former Vice President Joe Biden. Interesting. We'll continue to follow those developments. Thanks so much for sticking with us. It is 5:30 here on this gorgeous Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for being here. I'm Jay Crawford alongside Betsy Kling. Betsy, we're still watching presidential results across the country come in. Ballots continue to be counted. NBC News calling the closest contest, or the close contest in the battleground state of Michigan, as we mentioned, for Vice President Biden. That happened within the past hour.
I feel like we're just at the start of this watch. We thought a lot more information would be coming in by now, but we were told to wait and be patient. And both Vice President Biden and President Trump are predicting a path to victory with many votes still left to count. Joining us now live with the very latest is NBC's Alice Barr. And Alice, do you know what the president is basing his tweet off of, this brand new tweet that he just sent out not too long ago?
Well, throughout this entire campaign, President Trump has spoken a lot about their internal polling, about, that they believe all along that the pollsters and everybody that's been following these races has it wrong and that they have it right. So they're basically saying that they believe that the tallies that are coming in are in their favor. And, you see it there. They're pulling out all the stops today. They're talking about legal challenges, demanding a recount in Wisconsin. There was a press conference this afternoon with some different folks from the Trump campaign who are accusing Democrats of trying to steal the election in Pennsylvania. So they're kind of throwing out various different channels right now as they're trying to shore up a potential path to victory, because as it stands right now, certainly it is too close to call. But Joe Biden has a more clear path to victory right now than President Trump does. So he's trying to maybe chisel something out to give himself a path to victory right now.
Alice, let's talk about some of the other big races, in particular the House and the Senate. The Democrats in the Senate needed to flip 4 seats to gain control. They were hopeful that a blue wave was going to materialize. It doesn't look like that happened. Where are we currently on the House and the Senate?
Yeah, right now it's again, the polls gave us a different picture than what we are seeing right now. There was a lot of expectation that the Senate seats would track directly with wherever folks voted for President Trump or for Joe Biden, and we're seeing a little bit of variation there. So we do know that for the Senate, it's likely to come down to 2 very tight races in Georgia. It looks like Mark Kelly is going to pick up that seat in Arizona, but then there was a loss for the Democrats as well in Alabama. So it's kind of ping-ponging around right now, and the 50-50 split is a possibility out there. But again, we have a lot of races that we're still following and looking to see where that one lands.
Well, NBC's Alice Barr reporting for us live from the nation's capital. Alice, good luck to you, because I'm sure you have a very long night ahead, and I'm sure we're going to be talking to you more and more in the coming days as well.
Don't you know it?
All the best.
Well, of course, this election has many of us feeling anxiety. We don't know who's going to lead this country for the next 4 years. Romney Smith is back with us now on What's New. Romney, this really is a stressor for so many people. We've seen it over the last couple of days.
Absolutely, Jay. Anxiety is the name of the game for people all across the political spectrum, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or anything in between. One thing that many of us are feeling is a sense of anxiety because we did our part. The only action we could take to vote, we did it, but now we're sitting here and we're waiting on to see how the country will go for the next 4 years. We've seen record voting, and I can tell you the pandemic is a top concern, along with race relations, the economy, the military, and more. One suggestion from a mental health professional I spoke with today was to take the focus off of your own election stress and anxiety and do something physical that can give you a sense of control, like volunteering.
Something that connects your current life circumstance with something you can control that feels positive, because that's our community. And so rather than channeling it all into a negative space, how can we channel it into a space that we feel more in control and our community gets a positive impact from it?
So she says when it comes to the science behind it, if we're doing something physical with our hands, it can provide a neuro distraction by literally using a different part of our brains. So she also says it's important to pause and determine if your response to political information is coming from a place of emotion or logic, because often high emotions can hijack your ability to be logical. So Jay, it's interesting that she says we feel a sense of anxiety because we have no control over this. So do something you can control, and that might help ease your anxiety.
Yeah, that's great advice. And we've talked about this, and you and I have talked about this even off air. Yeah. Sometimes the social media use can raise all of our anxiety. Right. I notice personally, when I set it down, things tend to calm down a little bit.
Today I've been a little muted, easier to keep it off today because I don't want to hear anything except for official results, which is why I've been watching Channel 3.
Smart woman. Romney, thank you very much.
Certainly.
All right, now let's check in with Laura Csu for some of the other big stories making news today. And Laura, I know the political races are getting all the attention, but there were some big issues on ballots across the country too.
Yeah, that's right. Some states are still waiting to see whether they'll go blue or red, of course, but others have already gone green. I'm talking about voters in 4 states who have chosen to legalize recreational marijuana. Adults can now use recreational pot in New Jersey, Arizona, Montana, and South Dakota. Oregon went a step further, actually. It became the first state to decriminalize the possession of small amounts of street drugs. We're talking cocaine, heroin, and meth. And it also passed a measure legalizing controlled therapeutic use of psychedelic mushrooms. All right, in other news, today Pope Francis urging the faithful to follow orders imposed by both political and health authorities. This is to protect themselves from the coronavirus. This as the Italian government imposes new and stricter measures. That includes an overnight curfew to control the spread of COVID-19. Well, Uber and Lyft are expected to come out on top in a ballot measure that will allow them to continue to treat drivers as independent contractors rather than employees. The change would have forced the companies to offer drivers overtime, sick leave, and also benefits. Both Uber and Lyft said they would have to pass that additional cost onto their customers, who could pay twice as much, which we all know, those of us who use it, that's a lot of money.
It is, certainly, and they rely on those tips, too, so don't forget to add that to the bill as well. Laura, thank you so much. We'll see you again coming up in about 30 minutes on What Matters Most at 6 with Russ. All right, here's the story that we're going to bring to the forefront. It's got a lot of people buzzing for a completely different reason. We're talking about the Aldi Advent calendars. They're out today. And you know about these, they are not your kids' advent calendar. They come with wine, beer, and hard seltzer varieties. We checked locally today and shoppers tell us that they're selling out fast. Typically, these have wait lists, like you get a little number in the parking lot and you have to wait to see if they still have them. Well, many shoppers were leaving empty-handed, hoping that more stock will be coming in, but the limited edition items tend to turn up on sites like eBay pretty quickly. Jay, have you ever gotten in on the Aldi Advent calendar phase?
I got to tell you, that is just like another universe to me. I have not. No, I have not. Now, I think we talked about them last year on the program. So they come with
little bottles of wine,
and there's also is there also like little cheese and crackers and just
in separate ones.
Goodies.
It's an advent calendar.
It sounds like something that I would really like. You remember we had charcuterie boxes in here, didn't we?
We did.
Okay, now
Amazing
I didn't know about that universe really either, but I'm a big fan of those now.
It's like a little surprise every day. That's what it is. It's a little gift box, little tiny one. You used to get all excited for chocolates when I was a kid. I would try to unseal the little doors and get them back just flush, so my
gotta
mom
wait.
didn't know.
Now you like the adult calendar better,
Yeah,
correct?
I would never make it through each day. It'd be toast in 3 days for sure.
Coming up next on What's New, need a job? We can help. Find out how you can actually get a job that doesn't require a whole lot of experience. Now, Betsy, that sounds like it can be useful to a lot of people.
A lot of people. And it used to be home to screams and thrills, but now the old Geauga Lake and SeaWorld property has been sold again. We have a sneak peek at possible plans for the site. And Matt, thank you for this beautiful weather. I'm just going to say thank you. I'm going to give you the credit.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Betsy. I think we all share that, but you can get me an advent calendar to say thank you. That'd be great.
Good luck.
I'll tell you what, weather is just fantastic across Northeast Ohio. This is rare 70-degree warmth, and we've got more of it to come. We've got that 7-day forecast, which you're going to like, coming up.
You know, we haven't even been post time change for an entire week now, and here it is, 5:42. The sun is almost completely down. I don't see any light whatsoever out the windows, and I kind of have a little tear coming out of my eye. It is a big adjustment for us.
It's a huge adjustment, Betsy. And I'll tell you what, it's forced our family to get up earlier just to get that daylight in. I don't know about those folks, you know, that don't really enjoy the earlier sunset. Some of us don't have the choice, but boy, it's dark outside now, and it just makes you kind of feel trapped every now and then. But thankfully, the weather's been playing a nice role where we can actually get out. So let's take a look at the sunset times the next 4 Wednesdays. So we're still losing about 2 minutes and 22 seconds of daylight per day, but it's slowing. We're not losing as much as we approach that winter solstice. You can see 5:17 is our sunset tonight. A week from now, it's 5:09. And you can see how gradually, as we work into early December, we get towards the 4:57 o'clock time, or 4:57 time frame on on that. Our earliest sunset is actually 4:56. So things will start to improve as we get into, it's actually around December 12th is when we start to gain that sunset back. We kind of lose it on the front end from that. So we're almost there, folks. Trust me, we really are. But high temperatures like this, who's complaining? Dark or light, it is beautiful. 70 in Cleveland today, 69s for Mansfield down towards Dover, New Philly, even Akron and Youngstown checking in at 68. And we're still mild. The south wind continues to propel all this warmth in here. We've got 70s and 80s in the plains. We ought to tap into the 70s here over the days to come. As you'll see, this ridge continues to be in place. Not a lot of weather across 95% of the country. We do have some clouds that are in Missouri. This is on a little short wave of energy that'll move through. And temperatures versus 24 hours ago are slightly cooler there. So we're going to keep temperatures in the upper 60s to near 70 tomorrow. And with the clouds, again, it won't feel quite as nice, but still could be a lot worse this time of year. National Design hour-by-hour forecast. That wind is going to be pretty gusty overnight tonight as we have the squeeze play between a high and a low pressure overhead. You can see tomorrow morning we've got clouds. Should make it well into the 60s tomorrow. The wind will continue, and then we'll clear things out for our Friday. In terms of the rain and snow, where's it going to be over the next week? Well, mainly out west, and that's exactly where they need it. They've got a big old drought ongoing across the western U.S., so this is really liquid sunshine for them. Universal Windows Direct 7-day forecast. Look at the 70s and sunshine over the course of the weekend. Our next chance of rain arrives on Wednesday. And Betsy and Jay, I was doing some digging. The longest streak of 70-degree weather in November was 1956. We had 5 days. If our forecast holds true, this will be the latest that a 5-day streak has ever happened in November. So this could be something 2020 actually gives us. That's good.
Nice. That is definitely something we can look forward to for sure. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Thanks for digging that one up, Matt.
Yep.
All right, Jay.
That's my kind of record right there.
Yeah.
5 days, 70s in November. I'll take it. Well, right now it's time for our new installment of our Your New Job series. And today we're focusing on where to get a good paying job, especially if you have little or no experience, perhaps even a criminal background. Consumer investigator Danielle Serino found 2 places that are looking for people to train for employment.
Now I can provide for my family the right way, and it's about $60,000 a year at starting, and then I can make up to $80,000 a year.
Did you ever in a million years think that that was going to happen?
No, I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
He sure is. Less than a year ago, Edward was released from prison after serving 5 years for aggravated robbery. But on Monday, he starts paid training at his new job driving trucks.
If you want a McDonald's job, you know what I'm saying, it'll be easy. But if you're looking for a nice, decent, paying job that supports your family, you got to have some type of skills.
He got his commercial driver's license through a program at Towards Employment, which prepares adults who've gone through the penal system and young adults who have a record for careers in construction, manufacturing, hospitality, and IT for free.
The main focus of the PACE program is to assist individuals with earning higher wages, maintaining that employment, and advancing within their careers.
They also offer students help with housing or legal issues, providing equipment needed for their job, and getting a GED.
GED also stands for Get Every Dollar.
But the agency also trains those who lost their jobs due to COVID or are just low income. And they have a partnership with university hospitals for graduates looking to start a career there at $15 an hour with opportunities to advance.
So it's not like we're just helping people find jobs. We're helping people get into careers. So these are going to be long-term employment.
And they're not the only ones training people for good paying jobs.
We are an accelerated, hands-on, efficiency-based training model that was designed by industry experts to get our students from learning to earning in as little as 20 weeks.
The Matrix Trade Institute offers programs to those with a GED in auto maintenance, collision repair, and concierge services. There is a cost, $16,000 for the maintenance and repair programs, $9,000 for the 5-week service advisor course, but they have low-interest payment loans and...
We offer the potential for paid internships so that you can earn while you learn, and those can potentially lead to full-time employment with the option for full tuition reimbursement.
Jobs are out there. It's just a matter of getting the people connected to them.
I put information on both these programs on our website, WKYC.com, and I'm constantly updating job listings on my social media pages, so check those out as well. I'm Danielle Serino, 3 News.
In fact, I actually wanted to be a truck driver when I was a kid, big time. Well, up next for us, a vote for the record books. More insight into this historic 2020 election. It has definitely been clicking in Cleveland.
I can't see you as a truck driver. I'm just being honest now.
Huh?
I can't see you as a truck driver.
I totally want to be a truck driver.
All right. Later, remembering our humanity. How 2 neighbors came together despite their political differences. You have to see this story. It's an example for all of us.
And we're keeping it presidential for our pop quiz today. Which president refused to use the telephone while in office? Was it Richard Nixon, Calvin Coolidge, or Warren G. Harding?
It should have been Nixon. I don't know who it was.
The answer when What's New returns. Oh, that was a good one.
During our show. Yeah, there's a commercial that airs during our show exactly like you. It's
All right, we have the answer now to your pop quiz question. Which president refused to use the telephone while in office? Jay's guess was, well, he had hoped it was Richard Nixon.
I just said it should have been
Second
Nixon.
chances, yeah.
I don't know the answer, though.
Not a good one, certainly. Well, it was Calvin Coolidge, the nation's 30th president. He was known as a man of few words, and he once famously said, if you don't say anything, you won't be called on to repeat it.
Interesting. I don't know how a president could govern without using a telephone today.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Well, now we know cell phones have a whole new life of their own in
Yes, they
various
do.
offices, too. All right, it is time now to see what's clicking in Cleveland. For that, we're going to bring in our digital anchor, Stephanie Haney. And Stephanie, I know WKYC.com has been a hot spot for election information today. Lots of stuff looking for all the latest.
You are so right about that, Betsy, and this has been an historic election in a lot of ways, including setting new records. Here in Ohio, where President Donald Trump has been projected to win the state, we had record voter turnout. The unofficial results show over 5,800,000 Ohioans voted in the 2020 general election, breaking the all-time record of almost 5,774,000 set in 2008, and that's with over 300,000 votes still outstanding. And Democratic candidate Joe Biden has broken the record for most votes cast for any U.S. presidential candidate. Biden has more than 70 million votes and counting right now. Previously, former President Barack Obama had that record with 69.5 million votes in 2008. And Biden's lead in the popular vote is now greater than it was in 2016 for presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. Now, if you don't like tracking the votes, you can always follow the money to follow the election. These odds have been bouncing around a little bit as the results have rolled in, but right now, Joe Biden is favored to win over President Donald Trump. If you look at the betting odds according to European sportsbook Betfair, Biden has negative 555 odds. So that means if he wins, and you bet $555, you would win $100. The president has plus 500 odds, so if you bet 100 on him and he wins, you win $500. That's how that works. One more story to let you know about, Jay or Betsy. There are new things coming to what used to be SeaWorld and Geauga Lake. There's a developer that has purchased that land. They hope to turn it into homes, restaurants, and a shopping space. And Betsy, they're also planning lots of green space for this area and to pay tribute to those parks that we used to spend so much time in that we all loved. So it'll be very cool to see what they end up doing with that.
Well, there's still some parts of the old park lying around over there, so it'll be fun to see what they unearth as well as they're cleaning things out, if it comes to that. All right, Stephanie, thank you so much. Jay?
Yeah, those pictures of the park now are kind of spooky.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, it's really spooky.
Oh, the double loop.
Yeah, the good old days. Okay, next, how two neighbors from opposite sides of the political fence came together this week. It's a story we all can benefit from hearing.
And coming up at 6 on What Matters Most, long lines at some polling places yesterday left voters frustrated. So why did it happen? We find out.
Hey there, Al. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
And I'm Laura Csu. We are covering all the angles tonight as those vote. Thanks.
Hey, check, check, 1, 2. Our show us something good tonight is proof that we can really have it all.
Mic check, Monica. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, hello, hello. 1, 2.
We wrap up our Wednesday What's New with a great story for all of us. Proof that you really can put aside your differences. In Wisconsin, a man's Biden campaign sign was stolen from his yard. Who stepped up to help? His neighbor, a President Trump supporter. He replaced his stolen sign with the new Biden sign. a really cool shared moment of unity for two men from Iowa, or Wisconsin rather. That's how you do it. And as long as we have an extra second or two, a little fast fun fact about our very own Betsy Kling. When she was a girl, her CB handle was, and I was first of all impressed she had a CB handle, Motor Mouth.
My mom is probably going,
"Whoa,"
right now, because indeed, when I was 6 years old, we had a CB radio.
She really did want to be a truck driver.
I did want to be a truck driver.
Thanks so much for spending time with us on this Wednesday evening. We're back tomorrow at 5, and we certainly invite you to join us then.
We do, and What Matters Most with Russ and Laura starts right now.
Motor Mouth.